how do we develop the power to overcome the things that, these obstacles that we have in our life? It's interesting because there was a religious speaker who I was listening to, and it's probably like 6 years ago. And he made a statement, and there's this, it was a 45-minute long talk. And inside this 45-minute long talk, he just said, courage is the foundation from which every other character is built. Without it, all of the other character virtues fail in comparison. And I'd never heard that before. And I didn't believe it. I thought that can't be true. It's got to be love that this is the foundation, or that courage cannot be the foundation. And so I really went on a quest for courage for about 1.5 years to figure out if that one statement that this man said was true or not. And I found that he was absolutely right. Courage is the foundation from which every other positive character virtue is built upon. So in order to have the power to overcome anything in our life, it requires courage. And courage is not the absence of fear. It is moving forward in the presence of fear. It is not being fearless. Okay, it's just in the presence of things that really make me nervous or afraid, I move forward anyway. So we're going to have to courageously take a fearless moral inventory of your life, where you've been and where you are. Okay? Can we change something and make it worse? Yeah, I did that in marriage once. Okay, so you can change something and make it worse, right? But you have to understand that different may not always be better, but better is always different. And we're going to give you the tools to make it not just different, but better. Okay? And it's not going to be, you need to understand, whoops, that it may not be comfortable. Nobody really likes to change. Change scares people. It's not going to be comfortable. But if you have tools to understand that you can be still while you're doing this process, it helps. I have 5 children, and until this little guy came along, all of my children are fish. We're more comfortable in the water than we are walking on land. We just love the water. We're there as much as possible. Well, this little guy comes in, he's terrified of the water. He is not at home, and it's just very nervous with him. Well, this is not acceptable in our world, because we're in the water too much. We're at Lake Powell, we're at the ocean, we're just always in water. So this was when he was 3 or 4 years old. We're teaching him how to swim with floaties, so at least he can be out there with us. And we get him in the water, I get him in the water, with his floaties on, and he freaks out. Completely freaks out. He's flailing his arms, and what happens even when you have floaties on when your arms are out? Your head's under the water. Okay, so he is just freaking out, and I take him aside and said, this is what we're going to do. I know this does not feel natural to you, but when you're scared and you're anxious, I need you to keep your hands together and keep your elbows at your side. It's absolutely the opposite of what you think you should do, but I need you to do this for me. And when you do that, and when you can be still, I'll be close. But when you're freaking out, I'm going to take 3 steps back, and you're going to be out there. Now, the fear of me taking 3 steps back was greater than the fear of him learning this thing that wasn't comfortable. Do you understand? We do that a lot in life. Something happens, and the fear of not doing something is more uncomfortable than doing this thing the different way, which is what we're going to learn today. So it took him really about 15 minutes to get on board with the program. And I said, when you're not nervous, and when you're not scared, do whatever you want to with your arms and legs. I don't care. When you've calmed down, do whatever you want to, but the minute you start feeling scared again, hands go together and elbows at your side. Got it? Got it. Loved it. Worked perfectly. We had so much fun for 2 summers with floaties because he got it. He totally learned to overcome this fear of change. And he mastered it. And we just had too much fun. Well, at 6, we needed to change the program. This boy needed to learn how to swim. It wasn't enough that he could swim around with floaties on. We needed to learn how to swim. And we took him specifically to a lady that taught swimming for surviving. So if he got dumped out of the boat, or jumped off the houseboat, or jumped into the deep end of the pool, he wasn't just playing swimming. He could he could swim until someone got there, or he could swim to the side of the pool. So the very first, and he's not really comfortable in water, and now he's in there without floaties. Freak out. I don't know if you've ever seen terror in someone's eyes, but it's real. So he gets in there with his teacher, and I'm standing on the edge, and he looks up at me first of all like, you've got to be kidding. This is just cruel and unusual punishment. And she's out there, and he looks at me, and he just starts crying. Because there's no floaties. There's no flotation device for him. And he just starts crying. He's like, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do this. And she dumps him under the water. And he comes up gasping for air, and he's like, are you kidding me? This cannot possibly be this learning to swim program. And he's screaming, and he's crying again, and she dumps him under the water again. And he comes up gasping for air, and he's just weeping, and he's like, Mom, what is going on here? None of this is right. This cannot possibly be the learning to swim program. And she dunks him under the water again. And he comes up and he looks at her. His eyes are even more terrified. And he's just shaking. Just shaking. And she says, are you ready to learn how to swim? And he's like, no, I don't want it. One more time he goes under the water. And he comes up and she says, are you ready to learn how to swim? His fear of being dunked one more time was greater than his desire to learn how to swim. His fear of learning how to swim. So he said yes. Yes, I'm ready to learn how to swim. And he intentionally calmed himself down. We can do this. He intentionally stopped overreacting. He intentionally stopped producing this huge, ginormous emotional response to what was going on in front of him. And he was ready to learn. Okay, that was day 1. By day 5, he was swimming the backstroke, the breaststroke, the forward crawl, all by himself. The whole length of an Olympic swimming pool. Fearlessly. So what we're going to teach you also is to overcome those big emotional hurdles that we have and to calm yourself down. Keep your hands together, keep your elbows at your side, and learn how to deal with the emotional dramas that we have that are really not even from our present, they're from our past. Okay?